The Young and the Restless. YNR, spoilers for the next 2 weeks, March 16th to March 27th, reveal that fans will see multiple storylines heats up. So let's talk about all the key players and growing excitement. During the week of March 16th to 20th, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, will struggle to explain himself after Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, finds him in a sizzling moment under the sheets with Patty Williams, Stacey Hayduke. Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, will want answers as well, but Jack will feel the need to talk to Diane alone first. That'll lead to Diane whacking Jack in the face and most likely moving out once they make it back to the Abbott house later. After Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, learns about Jack's rescue, Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, she'll tell Victor Newman, Eric Braden, that his plan has flopped. Victor and Nikki will have a huge fight that results in him throwing her out, so there'll be some extreme tension. While Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, revisits her plan to fly to Milan and get Summer Newman, last played by Allison Lanier, to see things her way, Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, will clash over Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil. Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, will also deal with some nagging fears about Adam Newman's Mark Grossman trip to Las Vegas with Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, which will bring some curveballs. Once Adam and Nick's plane lands, they'll discuss Adam's attempt to reach out to Reza Thompson, Tina Kashani, and set up a meeting. Adam will feel confident that he can lead Nick to Matt Clark, Roger Howarth, and will vow to let Nick take it from there. Back in Genoa City, Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, will get some unexpected news from Lauren Fenmore Baldwin, Tracy E. Bregman. Could that involve Lauren accepting Phyllis's job offer, or will info start trickling out about Patty's return instead? As for Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, she'll give Billy a nudge to fix his broken bond with Jill Abbott, Jess Walton. Billy is trying to do a better job of listening to Sally, so maybe he'll take her advice. After a couple of preemptions for March Madness on Thursday, March 19th, and Friday, March 20th, the show will pick back up with new episodes during the week of March 23rd to 27th. That should be when Mariah Copeland's, Cameron Grimes, trial will get started, so Christine Blair Romalotti, Laura Lee Bell, will do everything in her power to make sure Mariah gets treatment in a mental health facility instead of prison time. Of course, Patty will make her way to Genoa City sooner or later. YNR fans will eventually see Patty make some new friends and mysterious allies, but she'll have her fair share of enemies in GC, too. In Vegas, Adam and Nick will face some challenges when it comes to their Matt takedown mission. Nick may have a hard time hiding his fentanyl addiction from Adam, since they'll be spending so much time together. Whatever the case, Adam and Nick will face some twists and turns now that they're closing in on Matt. Unfortunately, Matt's bound to have a few tricks of his own up his sleeve. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the next 2 weeks will bring some escalating drama, so stay tuned for the shocking fallout. The room fell silent for a heartbeat before chaos erupted. Patty, far from being remorseful, wore a smirk of pure, unadulterated victory. She had finally, in her twisted mind, gotten her man. Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, summed up the family shock with a stunned, "Oh wow, this is not what I expected." For Diane, there were no words, only action. She marched up to a stammering Jack, who could only manage a feeble, "I don't know how this happened," and delivered a powerful, resounding slap across his face. It was the sound of a marriage shattering. The look of utter disgust and betrayal in Diane's eyes conveyed more than any screamed insult could. Jack was left exposed, not just physically but emotionally, stripped of his dignity and left to grapple with the consequences of what he had done, even if he wasn't fully responsible for his actions. The gloating of Patty Williams. With the Abbott family reeling, Patty seized her moment to gloat. Her presence in the room was a toxic cloud, and she reveled in the destruction she had caused. For years, Patty has been a figure of tragic obsession, her mental instability driving her to heinous acts. But in this moment, she was simply cruel, basking in the agony of Diane and the shame of Jack. This was her ultimate revenge against the man she felt had wronged her and the family she believed had cast her out. The confrontation forced Jack into an impossible position, literally torn between the wife he loves and the woman who had just taken advantage of him. He tried to explain, to reach for Diane, but his protests were weak, his explanations sounding like hollow excuses even to his own ears. The drugs may have compromised his will, but the visual evidence was damning. As Diane fled the scene, her world crumbling behind her, Patty's smirk remained. For her, this wasn't just a tryst, it was a victory years in the making. She had successfully detonated a bomb in the heart of the Abbott family, and she was more than happy to watch it burn. Victor and Nikki's breaking point. While the Abbotts were dealing with their personal apocalypse, the mastermind behind the whole catastrophe was facing one of his own. Victor Newman, Eric Braden, had orchestrated Jack's kidnapping in a misguided attempt to protect his empire and send a message, but the plan had spiraled completely out of his control. He had kept his wife, Nikki Melody Thomas Scott, in the dark, lying to her face as she grew increasingly suspicious of his activities. When the full, ugly truth of his actions, that he had left Jack at the mercy of an unstable woman like Patty, finally came to light, Nikki was horrified. Nikki, who had spent the day seeking answers from a concerned Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, had learned the horrifying details of Jack's imprisonment. Armed with the truth, she confronted Victor, not as a meek wife, but as a woman whose moral compass was spinning out of control. She laid into him, calling his actions heinous, spiteful, and cruel. She told him she didn't know if she could forgive him for what he had done. Victor, unused to being challenged, especially by Nikki, did not react with remorse. Instead, his infamous Newman temper ignited. In a shocking and brutal move, he threw Nikki out of their home. "I don't give a damn," he roared, his rage a defense mechanism against the crumbling of his own justification. The sight of the great Victor Newman, alone in his mansion after casting out the love of his life, was a powerful image. Their marriage, which had survived decades of infidelity, business wars, and personal demons, now faced a fracture that seemed insurmountable. The question hung heavy in the air. Had Victor finally gone too far for even Nikki to follow? Away from the marital and familial meltdowns, other residents of Genoa City were bracing for impact. In Las Vegas, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, had arrived with a singular, dangerous mission to track down and stop the elusive Matt Clark. Adam, tapping into his dark past, reached out to an old contact named Reza Thompson to set up a meeting, hoping to finally hand the lead over to Nick. However, the trip was fraught with peril, both external and internal. Back in Genoa City, Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, was consumed with worry. She knew that Vegas was a minefield of